Today's episode of the podcast is with Johnny Boyle. Johnny's a friend of mine and a great drummer. He's played with the likes of The Frames, Marian Faithful, Lear, Picture House, and yours truly, because he played on my first record. He's also a teacher in BIM College, and he has his own podcast called the Brief Encounters Podcast, which I highly recommend. I really enjoyed the podcast. We had a great chat and a great laugh, and I love catching up with Johnny. The music playing in the background is one of my songs that Johnny drummed on, and he's doing some badass shit. Enjoy the podcast.
Go on, you boy, you.
Oh, hey. Fucking. How are you?
What a cool little studio setup you have there.
Oh, it's not bad. It's not bad.
I've just got my, like, Darth Vader kind of fleecy.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Fleecy blanket over
That's
me.
cool.
Because this is my little practice room here, and I'm this is where I come. My place of solitude.
Oh, God, we all need one, don't we?
How are you, Paul?
I'm not too bad, man. How are you?
I'm grand. I was only chatting to me Uncle Marty and Eileen last week, who lived beside you. She had a heart attack.
Yeah, she'd a heart attack.
When I spoke to her, she's like, I was out cutting the grass. not a bother on her. She's a tough woman, I tell you.
She is. She looks a bit kind of frail, though, lately, my mother was saying.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, the last time I saw her, she gave me an open-handed slap in the face when she was leaving. I was trying to get her into a taxi. You know, you're trying to get people to leave somewhere in their taxi. So yeah, she just gave me a big, and it was kind of, I laughed it off, but I was a bit like, oh, that really hurts, because she's a strong woman, you know, Galway.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to see you.
How's life with you, man? I haven't seen you in fucking God knows how long.
It's been a long time. It's been a while since I've seen you in Dublin, since we've been out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to lie to you. It's been weird. It's been pretty weird. I mean, I've been doing my podcast.
It's cool.
So I actually got my podcast up and running. The Brief Encounter Podcast, man. I just
there
asked.
we go. Plug there.
You find me on Instagram, Johnny Boyle Drummer, and the Brief Encounter Podcast. Yeah, give that a plug. Well, funny enough, it's been quite cathartic, actually, because I've been speaking to a lot of musicians and songwriters, which I'm sure you have as well. And, you know, some people want to release music, some people are unmotivated, some people are finding a huge amount of kind of creativity within them because of the time that they have, and they don't have to focus on a million things at once. You know, like I had Cullen McAnumra from The Frames.
Oh, I heard that.
He called over the house a few weeks ago, and we had a great chat. But like, he lives in, you know, rural Wexford, so, you know, he says not a lot really changed for him, except for he said he was driving up the M50 and there was no cars in the road, so he missed his exit because you know, because there's just nothing going on. He just drifted away. So, but what happened to me? My Mac computer broke down during the first lockdown in March. So I couldn't, and I had a load of podcasts recorded and I couldn't edit them. And
shit.
So I got my laptop working again. Then it broke down again this week. And funnily enough, a buddy of mine, Mark McCabe, I don't know if you know DJ Mark McCabe.
The DJ guy.
Yeah, he had
500. What was that song he had?
Maniac 2000.
Fucking hate that song.
Well, I won't tell him you said that. But do you know what? He was very kind. I reached out on Facebook. I said, look, I'm having an issue with my laptop. And, you know, he just said, look, bring it down to me. And he opened it up and he cleaned it out. And here I am. I'm on my Mac.
Savage.
But like,
That's
it's like
cool.
My Mac computer is like an extension of me at this stage. I just like, because when my computer broke down, BIM, the kind people at BIM where I work, were good enough to lend me a PC. But I work in PCs. Everything takes longer. And it's just...
I'm a PC man.
Are you? Oh, no, I
can't.
I can't. I'm just so used to, you know, the way, just the touch... just the whole double click thing on PCs, no, it does me head in, you know. And I'm not a huge techie guy.
Yeah, I built my own PC, so.
Did you? I know a few people that have done that.
They're easy, man. They're easy. I did it. Now the last one that I got, I didn't build it because I made out it would nearly cost as much, and I thought, fuck it, for about £100 I couldn't be arsed. But the last two before that I built, you know, but they were grand, and they lasted me for like, I'd say 9 years. One of them. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So,
well, this Mac I'm using now, I've had since 2013. I'd 7 years, you know, and it's great. It's great. But it was funny because when it broke down, I just left it in the corner. And every now and again, I would kind of nip over and just open it up and see, because it would actually, the chime would come on, but the screen wouldn't. And
Oh
then
no.
and then one day I just went over and I just opened it and it came on. I was like, what the hell? So when we actually opened it up yesterday, there was a little dead fly, the tiniest of flies inside. And
Shit.
like Mark was saying, that's probably it. That he could have been a conductor in between a little circuit board or something like that. Or
It's
there
mad.
was a lot of fluff and dust that had gone into it.
Yeah.
But it could be just something that simple. Whereas if you go to a guy to fix it, he'll go, "Oh no, it's knackered." But we've a lovely refurb here for 700.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Fuck you straight away there.
so come here. Are you making any music?
I am, yeah. I've been God, I've been finishing I have OCD, so it's very hard for me to do stuff like I just it's hard for me to kind of I obsess about every little tiny detail, so I struggle finishing things, which is not a good thing. I can write things, I've tons of songs written, but just finishing mixing, I
Well,
just have a problem.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. Just give it to someone. Do it for you. I'm sure there's lots of people. I suffer from CLB,
What's that?
complete lazy bastard. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like, I suppose with everything going on, it's funny. It's funny. Like, I was, because I think over this period, everyone's had a lot of time to reflect. And I suppose initially, what was great was in April and May in Ireland, the weather was superb. I mean, we
Oh, it's
hadn't had weather,
amazing.
so it was like 6 o'clock every evening, just garden beers. Like having time to go out walking. I start running again. I raised a couple of €1,000 for a cancer foundation, which,
I've seen that all right.
yeah, I ran like 50K in 5 days, and that was
Mad.
that was maybe June, and like
Yeah.
July. I don't know. I haven't ran since. Basically, I'm one of those guys. When I hit the goal, I'm like, yeah, right, that's done. What's the next thing? But it felt great to do it. It felt great because the people that run the cancer, the Sarah Knott Foundation, are good friends of mine, and I knew Sarah Knott herself quite well, and so it was great. It was great to just do something useful, and I think, but yeah, I got used to the good weather and and it was great to see people in the area here walking, and I'm sure there's a lot of people as well in their 50s and 60s who've been putting off a lot of that stuff, where now the weather's getting a little bit colder now and getting a bit snivelier. It's kind of, you're looking outside and you're thinking, will I go for a walk today? I don't know, but but stopping gigging, having gigged consistently for 32 years, like I know I've had the odd quiet period, but I was kind of thinking I've done at least 4,000 gigs, at least, and it was starting to kind of take its toll a little bit on me,
Yeah.
in terms of like working a job in the college, which is only part time. But then, what the hell is that? My computer just made a big bling bling noise there. Do you know what that is?
No.
That's my email. Just, yeah, I gotta close that, because yeah, every time I hear that bling, it just reminds me that I've no life. It's another email to answer. It's like, oh, but complete lazy bastard. But so what was I saying? I lost my train of thought there. I was talking
You
about
were
gigging.
you were
Yeah,
gigging.
gigging. Yeah, it was weird. As much as I enjoyed the break, like I did a thing with Picture House, where we played a concert that was filmed with no audience. There was a few guys filming, and because none of us had played for a while, I didn't feel
Mm.
comfortable. You kind of lose your edge a little bit. Your autopilot, or whatever you want to call it. And
Yeah.
particularly if you're playing with a band that you don't play with that much. We do one gig
Mm.
a year, so you still have to relearn all that music. It doesn't, you kind of think, you think that stuff will come back to you a lot easier than it does, but you do have to practice it, and you do have to rehearse it, like, pretty
Yeah.
intensely. Because I suppose, particularly with a band like Picture House, when I was in that band, we were just touring constantly. I wasn't in several bands. I was just in
Yeah.
that band pretty much, doing recordings with yourself and Pugwash and Duckworth Lewis Method, and various other people. So But yeah. So it was a bit nerve wracking actually. Just to
Can
play a
imagine.
show, but there's also like I always have very high expectations. It's almost like it's probably like that guy, who's waiting for the new Star Wars movie, and and he wants to feel like he felt like in 1977, and he's going to go and see like I don't know, the Force Awakens or whatever, or the prequels, and they're just ultimately disappointed. And their life is ruined. Their life is over because you've killed Star Wars. But yeah, I'm a bit like that with gigs. I want to feel like I felt like when I was 25. But
Yeah.
that's that. Do you know what it is? That's what would I say? The optimist in me. But
The best gigs you have are those ones when you were like 14 in the garage with your mates. There's just something irreplaceable about those ones,
yeah, I mean, I think there's a time in your life when all of that is just amazing.
isn't it?
And I like I cannot complain. I've no complaints. The music's been very good to me. I mean, now I did start gigging at 14, and
Mm,
you know got signed at 18, and I was in a band, my first band, and that kind of led into different lineups and different names, but it was kind of like the same band, just with various different people over the years. When I got to about 21, it ran its course, but like it was 7 years of my life in this
crazy.
particular band. But it's so important to you as a teenager, and you think, you think what you're doing is the whole world is waiting for what you're doing, and you're just four guys living in a house where you've built a practice room in the living room, and you're smoking joints
Yeah.
all the time, and like the guitar player has a snake in the house, and he like I remember our guitar player, he built like a pond inside the house with a big rockery around it. So we'd go in there,
That's brilliant.
and we'd be smoking away, and like all the rocks around, the water flushing, and he'd have all these koi carp in it, like, and it was inside there.
Oh my God.
It was insane. And we'd the snake, and then we'd sit there and we'd put the mouse in, and we'd be sitting there
Oh
for
God.
4 hours waiting for the snake to eat the mouse, And eventually you'd give up. Anyway, his
It's like
snake.
that Tom Green movie.
Oh, Jesus. Well, his mouse.
Euro Trip.
Oh,
Is it? You're not.
Yeah,
Is it Euro Trip?
yeah,
That's Road
yeah.
Trip or something like that.
Yeah, road trip. Yeah, But I remember this snake just would never eat the mouse, never, and it actually
Really?
died of chronic anorexia. that's what the vet said. It just wouldn't
Holy
eat.
shit.
Yeah,
Poor
yeah.
snake. Fuck, man.
But yeah,
I feel with music I fucked up majorly
why?
because I've got old now. I never really pushed myself enough. I pushed myself with music, doing music, but the whole other side of music I found very hard. I met so many record labels. I got brought over to England. I always I mean, I'm not ancient. It's not over me yet, but
No.
I never really, I didn't have that kind of thing where I could sell myself like people, that they're good at going and talking to people and shit like that. Like I'm more kind of inward, and if I get to know somebody, I'm quite outgoing, but if I don't, I'm quite inward.
Yeah.
And you kind of need that, I think, especially nowadays.
Well, you do. I mean, I'm sorry. Like when I was a kid, like even up to the age of, I suppose, 21, 22, maybe, when I started touring, I really
Mm.
came out of my shell, like early 20s, because I started to gain confidence as a drummer and as a person. Excuse me. And, and I suppose then, you start to meet girls, you start to meet foreign girls when you're
Mm.
touring, or not so much girls, but just people,
Yeah.
and from meeting all these people, making all these new friends, and going to all these new countries, and eating all this food and drinking wine, and just immersing yourself in the whole experience. It's a great thing to do when you're young, and that was a huge confidence builder. And then obviously playing with good people, like,
Yeah.
and maybe playing with a good songwriter, or being in a good band and having a bit of maybe a hit song, or or joining the Frames, or just playing with people and having moderate success is just great for your confidence. But
Mm.
excuse me, I'm burping because I'm drinking that beer.
It's
I
all
know
good.
it's only 5:15. I'm starting early today. It's been a long day, but yeah, all of that stuff definitely kind of builds your confidence, and I work with a lot of younger musicians now, like mentoring them through the college and stuff, but even like meeting yourself, and what, like how introduced us? How did we? I'm
I know
terrible at
exactly.
remembering.
Oh, I've got a good memory. So what happened was I was I had the Pulse Studio booked. So I had all the album kind of, I did all the drums out on fucking drum machines and all that kind of shit. And I had given it to Jer Farrell. So Jer had drummed on an EP. And about a
Yes.
week or two before it, he said, I can't do it, but I've got this other dude called Johnny Boyle, and here's his number and give him a ring. So I gave you a ring and I'd sent you the files and you were like, oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I was freaking out. I was like, oh, shit, man. Shit, I hope it's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we did it. It was fucking great, man. That was 2008, I think.
Was it really? Was it
Or
12
maybe
years
2007.
ago? That's right.
Yeah.
It was Jer that rang me, Jer.
Yeah.
Because
Jer
you sent
Farrell.
me the demos and they were very, you were very methodical and with the arrangements and there was a lot on it for me to go on, and you'd done so much program. But actually, to be honest with you, there wasn't that much work for me to do. I was kind of like, oh, that all sounds great. I just need to play on top of that and kind of put my own little stamp on it. So it kind of it played itself for me really, because we did it quickly. I think we did most of your album
2
in
days.
like 2 days, was it?
2 days.
I mean, to
2
do an
days.
album for drums in 2 days is but I think that's a result of the methodical work that you'd put in.
Yeah,
you
maybe.
made it easy. For all I had to do was learn the arrangements, play the parts, and I think we did a little bit of dropping in as well, maybe.
We didn't do too much.
Oh, really?
We didn't do too much. Maybe a few little pieces. Like most of the stuff on the album, of drums wise, they were full takes.
Yeah.
They were like full drum takes. I didn't really
Yeah.
do much comping or anything like that because I was like, fuck it, I want to keep it kind of as good as it is. And
I kind of prefer that, I
yeah,
think
me too.
when Pro Tools came out initially, people would be like, oh, do a busy take, then do a mellow take, and then do something in between, and they chop you up, and they end up
Yeah.
making you sound like who you're not.
Yeah,
Because it's
yeah.
three different approaches from the same drummer, but it's not necessarily the same approach, you would do in one take. But I used to think, great, yeah, brilliant, 3 takes, in the door, out the door, nice, and see you later. And then I was thinking, yeah, but I'd hear back takes that I didn't think were a good representation of me,
Yeah, I
you
get
know,
you.
and it was probably a bit lazy on my behalf. So I definitely became a real kind of purveyor of getting a really good take for me. And I do think as well, you don't have to do 20 takes. I definitely think you get it in the first 3 to 5. You know what I mean? And I've been on sessions where you just can't get the right take. It's not happening. And you do, and I'd be really, it'd be 5:30, 6 o'clock, and you've put in a long day, and songwriter might say, look, how about we just come in tomorrow and we'll do it first thing in the morning, go home, and you literally come in the next morning, one take, done. Do you know what I mean? Because you're a bit tired, and you're, and that's another thing as well, is like drums are so loud, and I could be in a room like for 6-7 hours with drummers all day doing classes. And it's almost like when the day finishes, like the last thing I want to do is play. Because if I have access to the drum room, I'd love to stay behind and play for 2 hours, but I'm just exhausted.
I know.
It's
The
mad.
drumming on that record sounds class, though. I never really listened to my own stuff because like it's so old and shit like that. But I listened to it recently. I was like, fuck, man, that still sounds class. It sounds like fresh. I was listening, not thinking it was our stuff, but I was like, well, that sounds cool, man. Because the record is basically me, you, and an orchestra.
Yeah.
It's
But
pretty
let's do
much
the next record like that.
That's basically it.
We'll have to wait another 12 years, will I?
Yeah. Well, this one I've been working on is me, column, and an orchestra.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jesus, that's mad.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Yeah, and it sounds good. Like that's the hard thing, isn't it? To try and make it sound like it's not. Everything's been overdubbed and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I was proud of that record. I thought like everything worked perfectly on it. I thought the drums were perfect for it. It just worked so well for it.
Yeah, I always come out of, there's certain projects you come out of and you kind of go, I'm really happy to be on that. I'm just like, and whatever you do, you feel like it's really lent itself to your vision or whatever, but like you did all the hard work, really. I just come in and rocked out for 2 days but I really enjoyed it as well. It wasn't a roast in any way. I have been on other sessions that you might have difficulty with a song or and it just, you may not feel like you're the right person for that song as well. Like you might do 6 songs with someone and 5 are grand, and one you're just like, I'm not getting this. Now that's only actually happened to me once, where it was a real swing based song, and I got someone who I thought was really, really good jazz drummer, who is a great drummer anyway, and I suggested him for a session on an album, and then of course the feedback I got was, "How did that go?" "Oh, I didn't like him either." So I don't, I really, it's hard to tell really, but generally, I suppose in terms of recording, I'm just a firm believer in just follow your instincts. But I think that comes with experience as well.
And plus, really, you're like an affable person. You're a cool person to get on with and everything, and that helps because when you're in the studio with someone, you're bouncing off ideas.
Yeah, but to me, that's massively exciting. I'm like, oh my God, we're in a studio making music. Isn't this brilliant? Like, I don't have to drive 5 hours to Kenmare, play for 2 hours, and drive home that night, half dead. I'm like, I'm doing what I love, and and when you're doing it with the right people, and you're playing music you enjoy, well, then it's not work,
Yeah.
Well, you still have to sweat, you still have to, but you still, and you still have to prove yourself. I think that you're constantly having to prove yourself, and you have to. I think you have to take pride in what you're doing as well, and ultimately serve the person you're working for. You paid me to do that job, and I was like, well, if someone's paying me, I feel, a huge responsibility to do the best I can. And I'm not, I think I've come to terms with the kind of drummer I am in my 40s. Because I think when you're younger, you've always got something to prove, and I think I know what I'm good at now. I know what I'm not good at. And there was always that feeling when you're younger, you want to get better, you want to prove yourself, I want to learn the coolest fill, or I want to get technically better, but there's technical drummers out there, and then there's guys that just play music. You know what I mean? And I think at the age I'm at, I still go back to like Nick Mason and Pink Floyd, Ringo Starr, John Bonham, but then you go into the 90s and you have your Chad Smiths, and you've got Matt Cameron from Soundgarden, and Dave Grohl, and and everything in between. Like, I mean, I love listening to jazz, but I don't play jazz, or and there's so much music that I do listen to that's quite technical, but I'd never even aspire to play it because it's like it's a whole other language. You know what I mean? It's,
yeah.
And that's the thing. But I do know if someone comes in with a verse, chorus, and a middle eight, I can do something with it. When I was in Rockfield last, which is funny now, talking about a record I made that hasn't even come out yet a year later because of the current situation, and I'm supposed to MD the band, so I was massively excited about this.
Shit.
And I did a record with John Murray from Mississippi, and John's put out a couple of albums, and he's like a crazy cat, great buzzer. But what happened was, John Parrish was producing. Do you know John Parrish? Do you?
No. What's he done?
John's worked with PJ Harvey throughout her career. But he's also a producer. Like, he produced like the Soul Jacker record for the Eels, and he produced the Tracy Chapman record. He produced that Eels record and toured it. Shit. And he's a multi-instrumentalist, so he plays drums and he plays like wind instruments and guitar. He's fucking unbelievable. So no pressure going into the studio. We're like, because sometimes you put in with people and you're like, oh, I'll have a little read. I'll do a wiki on this person. And when I read all his credits, I was like, holy shit. So going into like the studio where, Bohemian Rhapsody was recorded, the first Coldplay record, the first Black Sabbath album, the first two Oasis albums, like Rush did an album there, like so many amazing albums have been done. And just to be in that place, there was something about it. And the very first day I did in that studio, I think I was up for like something like 42 hours or something like that, because I came straight from a gig to the airport and went straight over and set up in the studio that day, and we worked into the night, and I'd been up from the day before. So, but ultimately myself and John Murray, the songwriter, we just tracked the whole record. And like not like your record where I went in and you'd done all the programmed drums and I just had to kind of emulate that and put my own thing on it. Like, I didn't have anything going in. So I'm like, I've got 5 days to come out with an album with this guy, And for some reason we did, We came out with all the bare tracks, and then they went to Bristol and they did 2 weeks in the studio with John, and then I went to Abbey Road, and I went for the mastering. So there was a guy called, I think Christian Scott was his name. He would have mastered the Ed Sheeran record, and he mastered the Fontaines DC record.
Okay.
So just to be in Abbey Road, I didn't get to go into Studio 2, which was a shame.
Cool, man. That would have been cool.
But what I did do was, I took a load of my dad's ashes in a Barocca tube, and I buried his ashes in the gardens of Abbey Road, which is super cool. You know, I was just hoping, just on the plane, I had all this. I've been signed out from my account, but so it's good. Something came up there. Yeah. So like I was just, but I had this Barocca tube with all this white dust in it. You know, I just thought I'm going to get busted at the airport for smuggling cocaine or something like that. You know. But that was, and I was in London like when the whole Wuhan thing was kicking off, and
oh shit,
and coming home, I was I didn't realize things were going to go to the extremes they were, like, and that was kind of late February, but by maybe mid-February, but within 2 weeks, like, things were kicking off. So
it's mad.
It's mad, and I mean, obviously, the longer it goes on, it's a lot of people are having difficulty out there, particularly musicians who solely depend on gigging and stuff like that. It's
well, I've seen some idiots in the government were saying like that it's just get like normal, get a job, kind of normal job. It's like, yeah, but if there was no arts or anything like that, what the fuck are you gonna watch after you come home from work, or do you know what I mean? That's an escape for people.
Well, I think people seem to think we live charmed lives. And what they don't realize is you spend 10 years like practicing, trying to actually get good at something. Like 10 years, you can go get a degree in 4 years. I'd go get a degree in 4 years, couldn't give a shit, But to spend 5 hours a day in your room or doing whatever you do, to get to a certain level where you become, say, employable, or you try and make a reputation for yourself. With the people that think, musicians, you never worked a day in your life. It's like bullshit. Get in a van. Get in a van and go around Europe for 10 months of the year and do a radio show in the morning, do an in-store in the afternoon, do a gig every night for 6 months, and see how long you last. When you talk about hard work, I've carried drum kits up more flights of stairs, but the other thing you could do is, for people that, let's say, don't value the arts, is, well, how about I'll just take your telly out of your house for 2 weeks. I'm going to take all your books off your shelf. I'm going to take all your pictures down off your wall, take all your art down. Your Netflix is gone. Your stereo's gone. So stare out the window and let's see how enriched your life is. You know what I mean? And there are people out there that don't listen to music or don't watch films. Maybe they read books. I don't know. There's a lot of people that aren't interested in anything.
Yeah.
But I think, without the arts, your life would be, it's just enriches your life. And I think of the great books I've read and the movies I've seen and the music I've listened to, I'm a big fan of photography, not so much taking photographs, but just, I love just black and white photography, and I've got some art at home and stuff like that. And, by a photographer called John Minahan, who was like, he was around London in the 60s, like he shot everybody from, Princess Diana to Jimi Hendrix to the Kinks to, and actually I have a portrait. I have a portrait behind here, which is covered actually because I can't have a portrait of myself in my house. It's too weird. It's too weird. It was given to me by a friend. It was given to me by a friend, but it's from John. It's from John who shots, like, he shot mostly in black and white throughout his career. So it's very rare he shoots in color. And he took that photograph. I was probably in my mid-30s, and I'm probably thinking that's probably the last time in my life where I thought, you still look youthful, And,
man, you always look good. Don't worry.
Oh, gee, after this lockdown, I tell you, I'm not afraid of getting COVID. I'm just afraid of fucking my liver getting up and walking out.
I was actually speaking of photography. When I went to Scotland last year. I went to Linda McCartney's photo exhibition. It was on in Glasgow.
Wow,
amazing! It was amazing. Like, she was so good at photography. Just said, Of course, I was taking pictures of everywhere, and the guy's like, "You're not allowed to take pictures." And I was like, "Too late, motherfucker! I've got tons on my phone."
What do you mean I can't take pictures of pictures?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it's amazing. I love her work. I thought she was a great photographer.
Yeah,
Like those old, like that was the thing back in the day. You couldn't like do reams of fucking film. You had to actually get a proper shot and take it, and that's the shot.
Yeah, absolutely. I love all the old black and whites, all the sepia tone. I just love that. And I mean, there's been so many iconic shots over the years. It's funny because as much as music has been cheapened in the digital age, so is photography. Because now so many people can take. Actually, my wife's great. She just with her phone takes unbelievable photographs. I'll stand in the same position, take the same photograph, and it just looks like shit. And hers is amazing. And then she's out with the filters and she's doing all, and I'm like, and she knows I think women know the angles because like men, if we shoot from below, you get the big double chin so you got to be up here. I don't know. Honestly, don't know.
They know the game, bro.
Well, you mentioned exhibitions, and an exhibition I was hoping to go to this year was a Ray Harryhausen exhibition.
Oh, wow.
Which I think is on in Glasgow or Edinburgh. And I really wanted to go to see all his miniatures from Jason and the Argonauts and Clash of the Titans and all the Sinbad movies. And, and I share the same birthday as Ray Harryhausen, which is cool.
But I remember when we first met, you were talking about a TV show. You were trying to have an idea to show about, it was like a quiz show.
I wanted to do a movie quiz show.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend of mine, Endo Looney, who shot all the pictures videos, and Endo worked in TV for years. And I was trying to, because I'm like yourself, big movie fan. And I just thought a movie quiz show would be great fun. Do you know what I mean? It'd be just something fun to do. But I mean, again, sorry, I'm going to just turn my phone off here and mute it. I think, I don't have aspirations to be like a TV presenter per se. I thought maybe somebody else could have presented it or whatever, but you could have had a bit of fun. But, I do have these, how would you say, random ideas that are quite they're quite difficult to pursue. Like to get an idea off the ground is quite difficult. And I suppose that's why even for me doing a podcast was I was talking about it for a long time before I actually went and did it, because I was like, okay, I need to get mics. What mics am I going to get? I need to get it. How am I going to record this? Well, I'll get a Zoom H6, right? And then I was looking at like the Shure SM7B, and I was like, that mic's 400 quid. So I was thinking, am I going to spend 800 quid on two mics? And then I went online and I was like, some guy did an SM58 off a 7B and there wasn't much difference. And I was thinking, so I can buy a mic for 100 quid or I can buy a mic for 400 quid. So I bought the 58s. They work great.
Yep.
I got into GarageBand. I learned how to edit stuff. But, from yourself from doing this to record, to edit, to put it out there, do social media, it's quite time consuming. But it's also very cathartic to talk to people.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Excuse me. I'm some of the people I've spoken to are people I really admire and people I've known for a long time. And I the other thing is I know so many people in music and film and whatever, photographers, artists in general. And I just thought, well, let's have a chat. Because my question is, what does it take to be an art? Like when I say artist, I'm a piss artist. I'm not an artist, right? But I'm a drummer, so I've always treated my profession like just I do a job for people, or you know what I mean, or I work with people. I'm an artist per se. Just because I get in a room and make music with people, I don't see myself as an artist. I just fulfill a job description, and I'd be very humble about it. But like,
what do you class as an artist? So,
well, I suppose someone who paints, an artist, like people in film. I mean, there's actors, and then there's actors.
Yeah,
like you're everything changed after Brando.
Yeah,
the same in music. There's drummers, and I got to hang out with and I interviewed Josh Dion from Paris Monster. Who somebody I really admire, someone I saw on YouTube, and I invited them to Dublin and they did a masterclass. I put a gig on for them. First gig was a great success. A year later I did a second gig, not so good, because it was a Tuesday night in November. That's my excuse. I'm pleading the fifth, and I would have loved to have when you see a band and you're like, this place should be full, these guys are so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was just a hard sell at that time of the year. I had Nate Wood over from Kneebody, a band I saw in New York, and Nate Wood has worked with Taylor Hawkins, like worked with Chaka Khan, Sting, and again, quite solitary guy, multi-instrumentalist, unbelievable talent. And, but I take them out for a few pints and, we hang out and I do a podcast with them. But when it comes to music, these guys are on a whole other level. It's like I can speak English, but these guys are Shakespeare. You know what I mean? To me.
Yeah.
But they're just people, and they're people that want to play. They've worked very hard to hone their craft. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for them. And to bring them over and show them a good time and then introduce them to other audiences, like I think is great, or bring them over to the college to master classes and things like that. And, because people are accessible now, really. And it's just great to kind of hang out with those people and pick their brains a wee bit, and but you see, all the good guys are like, so I'd be like, so what was your practice routine? And they're just like, well, just played, man. I just played. Like they don't have a big secret,
Yeah.
So
you're looking for the holy grail off them there.
Yeah, or something that might just, I don't know, give you some direction to get your playing to the next level. But really, to do that, you just have to be in the practice room all the time.
Yeah, and it's hard probably when you have a family, and it's juggling everything is so difficult. Like,
well, when you're young, all you got to do is play and practice, and it's different. It's your time, the way you manage your time. When you're older is a bit different, and I think and you do get tired, but also I like my glass of wine in the evening. I mean, I'm married to a bloody French woman, for God's sakes, there's always wine in the house. We stopped buying it by the bottle now. We just buy it by the 5 liter box, like that. Give me a straw.
I seen that documentary last night, Sour Grapes. Have you ever seen that about the fake wine?
No.
Oh, it's great, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you'd love it, man. It's on Netflix.
Oh, is it? Because I know Larry David made a movie called Sour Grapes.
Yeah. It's not that. It's about this guy who's like all these rare wines, but he's forging them, like, and selling them for astronomical amounts. And there could be like, well, some people claim they do, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But it was quite interesting. I was like, that's kind of cool.
Wow.
So. Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shysters out there, I don't know about you, but watching stuff on Netflix, or like when you're busy and you're doing stuff like a movie at night, is nice. And but I think when you haven't been off for a few months, and you can I'm kind of sick of Netflix, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, man, I go on and I end up like not watching anything.
No,
like,
you scroll for half an hour and then you go, I'll just go to sleep. I got Amazon. I got Amazon Prime the other day.
I got that.
I wanted to see the Borat movie, which I really enjoyed.
Oh, I liked it.
I really liked
it a lot.
I liked it. I thought the first 45 minutes were hilarious and took a bit of a dip then, but then the Juliana thing was outrageous. It was just outrageous.
Johnny the monkey.
Oh my God. But as a result, then we watched Bruno the other night.
Oh my God, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's very good actually, and it's great when you come back to these movies years later, But then I got Amazon because I wanted to watch The Boys.
That's amazing.
I've only watched the first episode.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah, I know my wife isn't superhero oriented. She's going to be like, "Beat it, I'm out of here." But
it's so not superhero though.
I know
it's not a superhero.
But that's the thing. It seems to be a lot of politics and kind of stuff involved, and very dirty.
It's fucking class.
So
yeah,
I will. I've got a midterm from college next week, so I'll get stuck into it. The Mandalorian I loved.
That's cool.
I think I watched.
I hate those new Star Wars movies, but I love that.
Yeah, I actually really liked The Force Awakens because the Force.
Yeah, it was okay.
Well, it had Harrison Ford. I mean, it has a bona fide movie star. Like Mark Hamill doesn't have the pull that that Harrison Ford would have, but he's a very iconic character. But they are just movies. But I thought The Rise of Skywalker was going to be something a lot more special than what it was, and I think J.J. Abrams kind of did it as a right. Come on, I'll just do this. Let's get this out of the way. Let's just get this done.
Yeah.
But what I will say is I loved the character of Ray. I thought
Did you?
I thought she was a great character. I thought she played the part really well. Where they went with her character wasn't great. But I felt sorry for John Boyega because he started out great in the first,
Yeah.
and then he was kind of sidelined where every scene he's in, he's just going, Ray, Ray, being told to get lost. You know what I mean? It was like, it was very underwritten in the second and third movie. So,
Yeah.
But look, I'm 46 years old. It's like it's Star Wars, whatever. It's like I do every now and again break out the original trilogy every couple of years
So good.
and watch them and and enjoy them. And I got Disney because I think they're in 4K, aren't they? So
Yeah.
I
You
did.
get Disney Plus, is it?
Yeah, but I went to see
Oh, great.
Empire Strikes Back in 4K during the summer. Went to see it in the cinema. It was like 4K anniversary, 40th anniversary. But it was all quality of the screen was shit. It was like it was a bit blurry, and I was expecting like high def, and I was a bit
Yeah.
like, this is a bit disappointing, But mind you, there was 3 other people in the cinema, so that's wasn't too
Yeah.
bad. And it's so weird having the cinemas closed now, nothing coming out, and
I seen Tenant. That was the last thing I seen.
yeah, when I read the reviews, I just thought, do I want to scratch my head for 2.5 hours wondering what's going on? Is a bit of that?
No, it's not really that confusing.
No.
No, I thought it was. It's Nolan.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's not. You'd like it, I think. It's
Yeah,
not. It's not
I'm,
like.
I'm sure I would.
It's not the mind fuck that everyone said it was. You're kind of like
Yeah.
there's certain things in it that you can kind of piece together and stuff, but it's
Well,
it's
I've
Nolan.
liked most of his movies. I probably liked Interstellar, or I was a bit,
Yeah, it wasn't amazing.
and then Inception I liked more, but I'd like to
Hmm.
revisit that one again, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was
Um,
amazing.
I would like to,
The Prestige is one of my favorite. So
Prestige is great, but Dunkirk I thought was phenomenal.
Oh, class.
Like I
man.
saw that in the cinema. John, do you know what a friend of mine described it as? You know what Dunkirk is like? It's like, the last 25 minutes of like an action movie. Well, it's that for 2.5 hours. You know what I mean? It's just and the droney soundtrack and all that stuff, all that sound design was just phenomenal. And I got those movies on my own. I just sit there. I'd always go like 2 o'clock on a Monday or Tuesday. Nobody in the place. I love that because
Yeah.
generally people that go on their phones or kick seats or just like talking at the movies, I tend to be a magnet for those kind of people. And I've embarrassed myself a few times at the cinema just trying to shush people or, like, okay, I'll tell you 2 stories, right? Okay, so I'm at like a Pixar movie with my kids or whatever, like it's a Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, and I'm sitting in the aisle seat, like this, you've got the middle 10 seats, and then on each side of the aisle you've about 5 or 6 seats, and someone is about a row behind me. He's just a father and son, and the kid is like, Dad, who's he? What's going on? He just kept asking questions, right, all the way. And I was doing this like, shh, every few minutes, just can you keep it down? I'm trying to watch the film. And I've paid for 4 tickets and popcorn. Like I'm 60 quid in the red here. Like you're bringing the family to the cinema, and I'm thinking like, it's expensive shit. So anyway, I think I shushed a few times, and about the 5th time, I looked over. I kind of looked over to give him the hard stare, and the dad just leans over and he goes, "Here, fella, see him there? He's autistic."
Oh.
And I just went, "Oh," and I went, "Sorry about that." And then I did this in my seat for the rest of the movie. And I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed.
Oh man.
No.
Do you think the cinemas are going to survive all this shit?
I've no idea. Well, they kind of have to, don't they? Because people are going to need a place to go. People are going to need gigs to go to. People are going to need cinema. There's a whole industry out there. People are going to need to work as well. So I would hope not. But what'll happen is companies will dissolve and other companies will move in. That's kind of, it's like a massive takeover.
Yeah.
Like Dublin,
Yeah.
Dublin is grim. It's a ghost town.
Is it? Yeah.
It's a ghost town. It's just you walk around. It's like every day is like it's like 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning. You know what I mean? It's
Mental.
like because there's nothing open. I mean, at least when the restaurants were open, you could go and have a bite to eat. But
Yeah.
look, I think with the COVID thing, it's a very divisive argument. A lot of people feel differently. You do have people going, well, let people get on with it and all the rest. But then you've got the elderly that are vulnerable, people with underlying health conditions that are vulnerable. And then you've got everyone else, the people that have to live on 200 quid a week who maybe used to earn £1,000 a week and are being
Yeah.
forced into poverty and are being told, well, you just need to sit down there and shut up. Yeah, but I can't pay my mortgage or put food on the table. Oh, well, hard luck, because the 95-year-old neighbour down the road might die. But that's a terrible comparison. I shouldn't say that, because my mother is nearly 70 and she's diabetic and she's a heavy smoker. But she's retired and she lives on a state pension of 200 quid a week. And what she would do to survive is take in foreign students throughout the year. But she can't do that anymore. And she's terrified.
Shit.
So she's had to rent her house out that she's lived in for 40 years.
Oh
And
my God.
she's rented out to a couple of nice lads, and she's moved over to Edinburgh to my sister. But the worry of if anything happens to her while she's away, or will I be able to travel, or all those things, they're on your mind, but you've no control over any of that. I just hope she's okay. And she's gone for a year in the hope that all this stuff will blow over, So fingers crossed she'll be okay, But everybody's lives have been affected in some way, And I know, I know some people that have died as well. So I'm very open to everything that's going on. I don't necessarily have we should all be back at work and screw everybody else. I don't think that's it. But I don't believe in any of that anti-mask shit, or all those protests. I mean, there's a lot of morons out there, and you do have to look at it in perspective to a degree. But people are like sheep,
That's it.
To a degree.
That's it, man.
People are like sheep, and it's all, I'll do what I'm told. I have to go to bed at 9 o'clock. And it's like, well, hold on a sec. You can ask questions, and certain people are analyzing the data and stuff like that, and they're asking different types of questions. So I don't know, but I mean, I don't think the government can keep paying people the money they're paying.
No. That's that's like a dangerous area to go when you conform. And when you conform, that's how you get radicalized governments who kind of just, New World Order kind of shit. I know that sounds conspiratorial, but that's how those things kind of happen. If they say you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, there's going to be a pushback for people going, here, wait a minute, why is no one questioning this shit?
Well, the water charges was a huge
con, that thing.
Well, I think it was a huge win for the average person, because what they were bringing in essentially was loads of salaries for loads of people, but effectively the job that was supposed to be done would have taken 20 times longer. It was jobs for the boys, and I think people went, well, hold on a sec. I can't afford another utility bill. And actually, my mother, my father, and my brother could not afford another utility bill. And neither could I, for that matter. And I went down to some of those marches, and there was people from all walks of life. There wasn't, the how's it going? Fucking, I'm not paying any bills. Where's me dough? You know what I mean? There wasn't people of that ilk down there. There was like elderly people, middle class people that were, saying, well, hold on a sec. Like, if someone said, here's what we're going to do. Every household is going to pay 25 quid next year, right? Mandatory, 25 quid, and we're going to go and fix the leaks. No. Let's get a load of people in a big, expensive commercial building, give them all high-paying jobs. Do you know what I mean? And put people on these overinflated salaries. And it's just ridiculous. And I think people said no. But I was getting slagged by my so-called middle-class friends who live around there. Oh, how's the marches going in the thing, And it's like, really? But again, their mindset is, we'll just do what we're told by the government. We won't question it. And it's like, people question that because that whole system was so abysmally set up that, people took a stand and we won. So, so there you go. I took a stand for people that couldn't afford another bill, because the thing is, it's like the USC charge, the temporary tax. That's never going away. You know what I mean?
No.
Oh, that's just to get us out of the recession. Really? Like, a property tax, or, I've already lost a house in the recession. I'm still paying a vulture
Yeah.
fund, even though I'm on a third of my salary right now.
Fuck.
And I'm trying to pay. I have a year left. I've effectively spent 15 years of my life in debt, but I chose to sell the house. I chose to get rid of it. I chose to cut a deal with the bank. I did. It wasn't
Yeah.
taken off me. It was my decision, because I
Yeah.
couldn't handle the financial pressure anymore.
Mm.
And I made a decision to try and alleviate that, because financial pressure is killer. It's a fucking stress will kill you. So, at 40, I made that decision, and it made it, but the only reason I could make it happen was a good friend of mine acted on my behalf, solicitor, and we cut a deal, and I got some debt forgiveness, but still, there's a good 10 years of my earnings that had just gone down the toilet, artist to a bank or a vulture fund or whatever you want to call it. And I should actually be sitting in this house. This isn't my house, it's a rented house. I should be sitting in a house where I'm 25 years or 20 years into my mortgage, but unfortunately, due to bad timing, I'm not. I'm on the other opposite end of the spectrum, But look, that's just the way it happens. The house thing in Ireland is owning a house in Ireland. If you want to live in the middle of nowhere, 2 hours from Dublin, you can afford a house. But if you work in Dublin, that's not much use to you. So but so it's getting harder and harder. I think
Even renting for people, like some of my friends, like I have a lot of Brazilian friends, and like some of them like stay like 12 of them in a room. Like it's like
that's going to be great for COVID.
But it's it's quite. I see how some of my friends are kind of treated. They're expect to only work 20 hours a week, but pay astronomical rates of rent, and then pay on top of that, for their college. It's not feasible. Like it's just
no.
It's impossible.
Well, in the last recession, rents came down, and so did house properties. How come they haven't come down this time?
I know.
Because everybody's moving out of Dublin. Anyone that works for Facebook or Google or Twitter, they're all moving out to places now where instead of paying $2,500 a month between three people, they're probably paying $1,000 a month, because they can work from home. And that absolutely makes sense. But then if all these properties are emptying in Dublin, what's being done with them?
I know. That's the crazy thing, isn't it?
Well, where I live now, I'm seeing estates being purpose-built just for rental, owned by American companies or whatever, and it's like,
fuck that shit, man.
Like $2,500 a month, it's shocking to see young families who are just trying to work hard. And in Ireland, they get up early and work hard, and I don't believe that bullshit, because Ireland won't reward you for that. They won't.
No.
Ireland does not want you to win. I'm sorry, unless
begrudging bastards.
Well, unless you're in a clique. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not bitter. I chose life as a musician, right?
Yeah.
And most musicians don't get to buy a house, or and that's the life I chose, which is fine, and I'm cool with that. So I'm not looking for any handouts. I don't have any. It's not like, what can Ireland give me? You obviously contribute to society. But it's bewildering at times that you actually can't have any form, I suppose, just even the slightest form of stability. But look, it's a capital city. If it was Paris or London, if you grew up in London, do you think you'd afford to buy a house in London unless you'd some high power job, or Paris, or But we don't have the infrastructure in these commuter towns so you can get to work easy enough, or the trains are always overcrowded, so are the buses, and then you've got the congestion, and you've people spending, they're doing a 40-hour week job, and they're spending another 40 hours in transit. But the thing about Ireland is what makes it great is the people, the music we have, the culture we have, and like the pubs being closed and all that. Like, I get it, but the backbone of our culture is built on the crack. Our whole tourist industry is built on people going down to Galway to go and see some 4 people in the corner playing a few fiddles and a bowron, or a covers band playing Sweet Home Alabama in the corner. They love that. The tourists love that, and our whole tourist sector. So like, musicians are relevant, even if you are the guy who plays the bowron once a week, or if you're some guy who's been playing Sweet Home Alabama for 30 years. That's ingrained in our culture, and it's what makes us great. Is that just all of that, art and music, and think the poets that have come out of Ireland, the writers, and but yeah, I suppose I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here. Like I do love living in Ireland, but it's getting a bit harder, and particularly now. Like my main worry right now is just paying the bills, putting food in the fridge, and making like I've got a blanket on me here, Paul, because I'm not putting the heat. The heating has come on because it's after 6 o'clock, or it's just 6 now, so the heating's going on. But I'm not putting it on during the day. I actually can't afford to put it on during the day because my heating bills in the winter are quite expensive anyway. But things are tight, and I'm not afraid to say that, but things are tight for a lot of people. Like my wife works in the restaurant industry. She went back to work for a while, and then she had to stop working again. I was on the COVID payment through the summer, and then I went back working in BIM. But I only do about 18, maybe 20 hours a week. So it's not a full-time
Right.
job.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels like a full-time job right now. With everything that's going on, and God bless the students and all the people that work there, and how hard everyone's had to work and to adapt as well. Like the students' willingness to do stuff online, and we're all having to upskill as well, learn new ways to deliver classes and stuff. It's very, very challenging.
Yeah.
Very,
I
very
can imagine.
challenging, but ultimately, like, you're trying to help these young people get their degree, and I think for me, I could have just stayed at home and stayed in the COVID payments, and I probably have the same, similar income to a degree. But I think having a
Mm.
sense of purpose is
Oh yeah,
is
man.
more important. You
For
know,
sure.
just
For
just
sure.
getting up, going to work. As much as I'm a lazy bastard and I don't want to work, no, of course I do, of course I do.
Well, I think music, people who are drawn towards music or art or anything in that ilk, you know, you are constantly thinking about things, and you are, you interpret the world in, I know this, I don't mean in a highfalutin kind of way, but you're thinking about, like, music, for example. You're thinking about this, thinking about that, you're thinking about that. So you do suffer in a way from, it can be a very mentally focused kind of thing in your life, and that does form mental problems for people and mental health problems and stuff like that. And you know, during this COVID and all that kind of stuff, with people not playing and not seeing people, I think that's a big issue that a lot of people don't talk about, the kind of mental health aspect of things.
Yeah, I've been pretty good throughout this, pretty good, and
Mm.
and as well, as much as not playing as a musician, I've enjoyed the break up to a point, but it's like the longer it goes on,
Mm.
it's just reminds me of that scene in Lawrence of Arabia where is it Omar Sharif coming across the desert, and then it's almost like he's going in the opposite direction now. The gigs are getting further and further away, and your relevance as a musician or a person is that's getting further and further away. So be even for me teaching kids, or that vindicates you to a certain degree. Um, but there is a certain amount of optimism, cautious optimism, from people I know, excuse me, who are just trying to get back gigging. I'd like to get back gigging, but what it's made me realize is, like, I fell into the corporate wedding thing for about a decade whilst working in the college, whilst doing sporadic independent stuff, more original music and that. But
Hmm.
like, I was doing about 200 gigs a year, and it was
Shit.
starting to kind of wear on me in the last few years, and just the late night driving and stuff. And again, I'm not complaining. I got paid well for it, and my family was comfortable, and I could afford to go out. I could afford a
Mm.
restaurant. I could afford a city break. I could go to France on my holidays. I could, I had a pretty good life as far as I'm concerned. Okay, I don't own a house, big deal, but I had a very good life, and I'm very, so I feel very privileged. I feel very lucky. And I've had the odd bad day, because there are some of my friends that are freaked out. Most people are getting through it. Some people are angry. Some people are worried. But generally, I'm okay about it. Now, don't get me wrong. Around November time, December, there's usually like a gas bill that comes in. It's about 350 quid. When that comes
Yeah.
in, I might be a little bit freaked out that week, because to be fucking penny arrabbiata for a week, um, but again, that's okay.
Mm.
God, like, imagine there's people out there that look at lost their mum or their dad, or Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories, and like, you know, I mean, you have to empathize with that, and you have to be compassionate, and you realize your own situation is, it's not as important as other people's and what they're going through, and you think of
Yeah.
them people that aren't getting the treatment they need because of the hospitals and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
so like I can't complain, even though if you rewind 10 minutes, I was probably complaining.
It's all good.
No, but you know, I mean, I've got two daughters. My daughter turned 18 like 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, and my youngest girl is 14. So, you know, I want them to have some kind of a normal life as well. And they've been great about it, you know. But the other thing you got to remember is I've been stuck at home with my wife for 6 months, you know, and that will put any marriage to the test. And funnily enough, we've had a great time because we used to fight because we were both working nights and days, and we were all over the place and juggling school runs, and you're just living this, one's in the door, one's out the door, this hectic lifestyle, and that can get on top of you. So now that that's been eliminated to some degree, there's a certain calmness to that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's enabled me to go, okay, well, when things do come back to normal, trying to strike a balance, I think, is going to be really important. Because as musicians, you say yes to everything, and then you look in I look at my Google Calendar, and I've got all these little blue boxes, and I'm like, where did all the white boxes go? Like, where's the day off? You know, and I ran myself into the ground a few times, and I definitely, you know, I've had my own mental health issues as a result of overworking myself. You know, and I think that's something I had to deal with. But I also, it helped me put certain things in perspective, and also take a good look at myself as a person. But also just try to lead a kind of a more balanced life. Do you know what I mean? I'd be a worrier by nature. Like my dad was sick for like over a decade. Like he was on dialysis, and you know, to watch somebody deteriorate over 10 years is a long time to watch someone to you know, because you actually think they're going to live forever because they're just getting sicker and sicker, but you think they're never going to die, and eventually they do. And I lost a very good friend, Gavin Ralston, last year, and actually just this week alone, another good friend of mine, Rachel Farrell, has died of ovarian cancer, you know, and she went through a tough battle in the last year. She's only 50 and Gavin was 49. So you know, so I'm going to go to a funeral on Friday, stand in the car park, watch the funeral on my phone, and then just be there to greet people. I know that's very morbid, but you know, people, particularly people dying around this time, is there's no opportunity to celebrate their life or be there for everybody, and that's kind of sad. That is kind of sad, and you know, and those kind of things ultimately as well they can have a huge emotional impact on you. You know, like my dad, I was very close to my dad, even though in later years, it's almost like I resented his illness because he didn't really do a lot about it to make it better. You know,
Yep.
do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I mean, he went off to Portugal when he wasn't well, and I pleaded with him not to go, and he went anyway, and he got super sick, and I had to fly over there, and I had to get him home in an air ambulance, which cost, basically fly him home in a private jet with a doctor and nurse. You figure out how much that costs, but I won't say because it's a bit vulgar, but it cost a shitload of money, and it put me in more debt when I, you know, again during the recession, and you know, but again, you have to do the right thing. But at the time, that builds up a lot of resentment in you as well, because you're like, I've got my own shit going on here. I'm trying to raise my family. But I thought we were going to talk about music tonight. But
Yeah, I don't know. We're having this therapy session. It's like, you know, it's like my dad. My dad got half of his lung cut out 2 years ago because of smoking. No, he smoked like a motherfucker. He
yeah,
still smokes. You're like, dude, stop smoking. And he'll throw a fag away when he sees you, and you're like, come on, man, it's your life. I'm not going to tell you what.
Yeah, my mum's a big smoker. Can't tell her to stop. You know, that's like, I don't know if you remember the Benny Hill show. There used to be the little baldy fella, the Belfast man. They used to slap in the head. You know,
right?
And I remember one of his gags was he was smoking away, and he said something like, "I've been smoking for 50 years, and there's nothing wrong with my lung."
Well, you know, like there's loads of studies into LSD and psilocybin for smokers, because they used to treat it in the 50s, sorry, smokers with LSD and microdose them, and it fucking worked a charm for them.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I quit smoking about 4 years ago. It was around this time 4 years ago. Actually, it was. Yeah, I'm
Wow,
celebrating an anniversary.
good man.
It was around October, late October. I you know I was, because of I think financial problems and whatever. I was smoking a lot of dope. You know,
Right.
smoking rollies, but smoking a lot of dope and smoking a lot of weed.
Mm.
And I got to a point where it just wasn't doing me any good. So I stopped. But what happened was, I was very lucky because I knew I had to stop, and I knew it wasn't
Yeah.
doing me any good. But it's that thing of, I'll stop when it suits me, and I got a chest infection, and I remember that chest infection lasted from October to April.
Fuck.
And I took loads of antibiotics, and nothing happened. I should have been on steroids, really, which I didn't. I don't know, like, So anyway, after a lot of fucking money and antibiotics didn't work. But the thing was,
Mm.
because I got the chest infection, I stopped smoking. And then I was about a week into it. I was like, this is your ticket out of here. You know what I mean? And a week went
Yeah.
to 2 weeks, and there was no cravings or anything like that. Because I was more into smoking a joint than smoking bags, but I'd have the odd rollie if I was out, and it just didn't suit me. So I just packed it in, and I never looked back. Never looked back.
Do you know what? When I were speaking of the fucking lockdown COVID shit, you think Spotify, those dickwads, would have actually upped the rate of what they gave musicians during it, but they don't seem to give a fuck about paying out artists anything.
Yeah, well, I think the government will always side with the money men, regardless.
Yep.
Okay, because they get wined and dined by them, or they get whatever perks, or they get, I don't know, golden handshakes, whatever you want to call it, or get put on the board when they retire. Um, which I certainly think countries should introduce like a tariff, and say, okay, you're paying 0.0001 to every artist for a play. Well, in our country, if someone signs up to your service, look, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but like, for example, in
Mm.
Ireland, Irish artists it should be like, okay, well, if an Irish artist gets played, they get 1 cent to play, no matter where it is in
Yeah.
the world. Otherwise, I'll tell you what, we'll go to Apple Music and we will just disintegrate your company, and you can't actually access Spotify in Ireland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then they go, yeah, so what? You've got 5 million people living there. Who cares?
Fuck you.
Do you know what I mean? But I think
Yeah.
there should be legislation. And there already was, like, Rap, who collect my royalties for songs I played on. They've already been in the European courts with the PPI about collecting royalties on behalf of musicians, because the labels want to keep the royalties now. So, like, if your song
Fuck's
gets played on
sake.
the radio, they'll keep the royalties. Even if I've played on it, I won't get my 50 cent or whatever it is. But they went to the European Court, and our Attorney General and our Minister for is it Enterprise and Jobs, they stood with the labels, didn't stand with the artists. So even our Irish government, they don't want my royalties going to me on the songs I played on, or to the guy that wrote the song, or to the bass players, and they'll side with the labels, going, yeah, you keep all the money there. And I think that's a shocking disgrace. So and fair play to Paddy Cole and all the people at Rap that work there. They've been fighting on our behalf. And because what happens if you get to the stage where you're playing a hit song and you can't even monetize that or get any income from it? But I think this will go to the Irish courts now, and we'll see who they favour.
Yeah.
But it's just getting harder and harder to, and the record labels are making more money than they've ever made. Vinyl sales are up.
Oh, they're killing it, man.
Of course they are.
They're
Of
killing
course
it.
they are. Of course they are.
I
But
remember about a year ago, I got offered a record deal by a subsidiary of like a big label. I won't say it was, but the deal was like terrible. It was like, if you just own everything I've ever done, like I
yeah, they
can
call that
never
a 360 deal, don't they?
360. Yeah, 360. I was like, fuck you, man. To get money from your songs, your touring, your t-shirt, whatever. It's just like, so basically you make money and I make nothing. That's kind of the fucking deal,
Yeah.
because they're just a glorified bank. That's all they are.
Well, they are, right. But what I will say, though, in in their, I suppose, in their favor is the fact that years ago you would have to be at a certain level to just get a record deal. So you would have to
True.
pass the A&R test, and because going into studios to make a record could cost anything from 100 grand and upwards, you know. Whereas now anybody can make a record and put it out there, no matter how good it is or how bad it is. So we're living in this oversaturated kind of industry, and we're so content dependent, as in, we're always looking for more. Rather, I remember the days when I'd have to save up for weeks to buy a CD or a cassette.
Same as.
And you'd have it in there and you would play it to death. And I still think as a result, you get to know those records. Those records become like your friends.
100%.
Whereas now, it's like, the way people digest music, it's just like walking through a nightclub. Oh, yeah, there's a nice looking girl. Oh, look at him dancing over there. You know what I mean? And it's fleeting. It's this fleeting moment where you don't befriend these albums. Now, don't get me wrong. There's lots of people out there that do. They find songs that they really like. But I think a lot of younger people now are into songs. It's not so much albums and
playlists and shit like that.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And I'm guilty of it myself. Like, my phone is on like, I have Apple Music. Okay, I bowed down to the corporate whatever, and I got it because all I used to spend my money on was CDs and DVDs. And I don't have to do that anymore now because everything's streamed. I'm looking at my CDs here in the room, and I was even thinking about, well, I just put them in a box and stick them in the attic because I can access any song on any of these albums I have on my phone.
Yeah.
And it's music is consistently being devalued. But it is. So I don't know where it's going. When someone says to me, "Oh, he's had 50,000 hits on Spotify." Oh, great! Tell him to book Vicar Street tomorrow. Let's see how many tickets he can sell. Because that doesn't put bums on seats, and it certainly doesn't pay your rent.
No.
And to me, that's wrong. Whereas if you got played on Irish radio, you would certainly, but radio's dying now as well because radio is just so advertising dependent that it is dying, and you put it on and now people, because they Bluetooth in their car, is they're putting their Spotify on shuffle. They're listening to podcasts. Podcasts have become, because people don't want to be bombarded with ads anymore.
No.
And it's only a matter of time before Netflix is 15 quid a month or it's 18 quid a month without the ads.
Yeah.
I'm amazed they haven't started introducing advertising at this point.
They will.
Well, it's coming. I even see it on Amazon Prime, is they just do trailers for other movies when you put your movie on.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I don't mind,
Yeah.
But, it's like, stop trying to sell me shit I don't need or don't want. You know what I mean? It's like, but I look, I really don't want to come across like a surly, moany, fucking older guy.
No. But I think when I was younger, I had such optimism about music. I was
me
so
too.
like, oh, this and this, and now I'm kind of like a bit of a curmudgeon sometimes with it. I'm just like, it's fucking bullshit, and that's a shit thing because like music was always kind of magical to me and escapism. Like I'm always trying to escape life anyways. So it was more escapism to me than it is now, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, having moved into education in the last 12 years, I'm very lucky to hold the position as the head of drums in Dublin. It's a nice position to have, and I really enjoy working with the people I enjoy working with, and I really enjoyed being interactive with students. If you have a good rapport with someone and you're just talking drums and you're playing and they're talking, and you're showing stuff and you're teaching them and they're getting something out of it, and and maybe their career starts to blossom and all. Like it's brilliant to be involved in that in some way.
Yeah.
And for me, even like I teach privately with kids, and you get a 12, 13-year-old kid and you can mentor them, and they start developing real quick and they're totally into it. There's different types of students. There's the kid who just comes for his weekly drum lesson, who doesn't, it's part, like he probably goes to theory lessons on another day and Irish dancing and whatever. There's a lot of after school kids. But then you get a kid who's just so into it, and you come in the next week and they've learned everything you've shown them plus more. Like it's great when you can have that kind of positive impact. I really enjoy that. And I wouldn't have been a great sight reader 10, 12 years ago. And that's something I've upped my game on that. And I've learned about Sibelius, and I do love the interaction, but there's a real element of having to upskill in BIM as well, and they support all the tutors, and there's constant training going on, and there's it can be a little bit overwhelming at times in terms of the amount of technology now, and the way we're having to work, because we are trying to maintain the integrity of what we do, and obviously it's difficult for us and it's difficult for students, and everybody's trying to just get on with it, and I have to say everyone's been brilliant about it. But definitely I've felt like I'm trying to catch up a little bit in terms of the technology and that, and because besides that, you still have to deliver your classes and you still have to correspond with everybody that you're working with, and but on the upside is, because I'm not gigging, I have my weekends off.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's weird having weekends off. It's to just like, do you know what? It's the first time in my life where I know where the week starts and I know where the week ends.
Right.
And I've never known that. I've never known that for 30 years. So like, on a Thursday evening, laptop is closed. Friday night is, yeehaw, woo! No, but it's like, well, I mean, at the moment there's nowhere to go, nothing to do. So like,
no,
but we have nice dinner here, and we crank open a few bottles of wine, and we watch a movie or whatever. We hang out, we play some music, we chat away, and we kind of have a good night out's a quiet night in, but it's a Friday night, and it's like, to me, that is, because I used to have to juggle my social life with like, I'd either be working the next day, or I may be off, or I'd always have something to do. So to actually be off and go, right, because Sunday for me is a prep day for the week ahead, so I prep on a Sunday. So to have a Friday, Saturday is just, it's something I could get used to,
Yeah.
But I need to get back gigging.
Music for me is kind of a weird thing, because like relationships, I think it's hard to juggle for me. I always find it very hard, because it's like, I could be with someone and then I'm like, man, I should be in there like recording, and my mind will always go, you shouldn't be hanging out with that girl all the time. You got to be doing this music and stuff like that. And I think in my head, I always had this thing in my brain that if I didn't do something with music, that I'd be a failure in life. It was always radiating around my brain, and I think that's kind of affected me with relationships and all that kind of stuff. And it's hard to get out of that kind of thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, there's a certain element of you have to be self-absorbed to some degree to make it happen. Like, you can't, you just have to put the work in, and and you have to commit to making music, I suppose. And and I've heard a lot of musicians say that you do have to be how would you say, selfish to some degree. I've heard a lot of top guys say that, and that's the life they choose. They choose that life of just being immersed in music all the time. And and again, for me, it's like, I always wanted to have a family and stuff like that. And but again, when I met my wife, excuse me, like, we were together 5-6 months, and she was pregnant, and as soon as she was pregnant, I got offered a tour to go away for a year. So with Marianne Faithfull, and so like, I missed the birth of my baby. While she was pregnant, I was away a lot, and then for the first 6 months of my daughter's life, or the first 4 months, I wasn't around. And but that's kind of the way it works. And but at least on the upside, there was there was money coming in, and we were comfortable to a degree. And for me, I was like, oh my God, my career is on the up, and I've bagged a good gig, and I'm playing great places, and I'm going around the world, and I'm and that was brilliant. It was brilliant, and I toured for another good few years, but I did miss the first couple of years of my eldest daughter's life. And by the time the second one came along, I'd stopped touring when she was about 1, and maybe 1 or 2. But then all of a sudden, I went from being a touring musician to being at home with the kids all every day. Well, my wife was working during the day, and I actually literally went from being like 12 years on the road to up every morning, like heating up bottles, changing nappies,
Shit.
doing the school run, doing the creche run, and it was a bit it was a huge shock. It took a huge amount of adjustment, you know,
Yeah.
because what happened was you spent 12 years of your life on the road. You're not living in reality, you know, and even when you're away from your country for huge periods of time, like you don't necessarily know what's going on culturally, politically, economically. You know, you miss out on so much.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden you're living in this version of Dublin that, you know, you're like, what? It's what, 500 quid a month to go to a crash? Well, you know, you're like, oh shit, you know. And there's all
Yeah.
of that, and you know, and you're tired, and you're, you know, all that, like, just dealing with kids, it's exhausting. But thankfully I was young enough to do it, and, you know, and a lot of my friends had kids around the same time. So, you know, you'd be got meeting with your friends in the park and going swimming and doing all that kind of stuff. And it was great, and I'd never you know, again, I wouldn't change a thing. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
could have stayed on the road for another 10 years if somebody had employed me, but I'm kind of glad I got that opportunity to spend that time with my kids when they were young, you know?
Is there
'Cause,
nothing you regret musically that you wanted to do but you didn't do?
yeah, make a lot of money. No, I mean, you know, I've no problem working and earning. That's fine, you know.
Mm.
And like I got to travel the world, got to go to some great places, got to meet some great friends. Like, I mean, I don't, in terms of regrets. No, oh, it would have been great to, like, there's a gold record behind me here for Ireland. I mean, I wish
That's
that was a
cool.
gold record for the world. Then
Yeah.
I'd be sitting in a much bigger room, you know, with the heating on. So, you know, but yeah, no, I don't. I mean, you know, I don't think it really matters, and I think once you're content within yourself, like, you know, and I think being able to be your own person again is a privilege as well, and, you know, and I think the opportunities that presented themselves over the years have been great, and, you know, no, and I've had a good time, had a good time. I met a beautiful woman and married a great woman, have two lovely kids, and, you know, yeah, and I get to be my own person, and, you know, I get to work with loads of people still. I get to be a musician. I didn't know at 20, I didn't know if I'd still be a musician in my 40s. You know, you don't really know. You've no control over the future. So no, I'm very, very lucky, and I got good friends as well. Yeah, and I think it does help, and particularly in these times we're living in. You know, but it does. It's a Mark. Wasn't Mark Maron said? You know, he said, you know, when you get older, he's like, you know, people seem to think, oh, I've got loads of friends. He's like, no, you don't. You've got two. You've got to, right? And
Yeah.
he says something to the effect of, when you're having a shitty day, you ring up the first guy, hey man, how's it going? You won't believe what happened to me. And the guy on the phone's going to go, oh no, dude, listen, I'm not up for today. I'm really good. Oh, sorry. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And you ring the other guy. That's it. There, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the older you get, you've only a handful of friends. You become a bit more selective, and obviously, you know, you curtail your social life, and you mellow a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
I think. But
Yeah.
I think I've mellowed a bit during this time, even though I can get a little bit uptight and get a little bit stressed out. But I still do have a fire in my belly, you know, and I think you need to kind of keep that, just to,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, I'm like Krakatoa right now, you know. I'm just waiting.
Well,
I'm
well, it's
waiting
always
to.
bad watching news and all that shit, man. I try not to watch any shit like that anymore because it just depresses me, man. It's just like, ah, fuck that shit, man.
Yeah, I do. I remember during the recession, the news having a real negative effect on my mental health, because everything was just doom and gloom, and I was in financial trouble, and it all affects you. Whereas I can look at it now, I can be more pragmatic about it and take a step back from it. And there's a lot of sensationalist crap out there as well. You have to, you know, it's funny because you could look at, like, the Irish Times and the Journal, and, you know, you have the same article, but they're from two totally different perspectives. And you know, the content is, you know, the Journal might worry you more, whereas the Irish Times might be a little bit easier on you in the way it's written. It's not trying to freak you out, or, you know, but there is that general thing with the media. It's all about trying to freak you out. So, um, yeah, and I mean, I can kind of stay informed, but not get caught up in it. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely not get caught up in it. Yeah, I'm sure some people do. But no, just get on with your own shit. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, man. Anyways, I better let you go, brother. I've took about, oh shit, it's about an hour and a half of your time, my man. Sorry.
Yeah, listen, you're welcome to my time anytime, Paul. We're good pals. It's good talking to you. I'm kind of
It's
bursting to
been a
go to
while.
the toilet. That was a 500 ml beer, so I've been drinking that over the last hour. Um,
Got a colostomy bag there with you.
oh, jeez, I should have brought me bucket in. You'd be like, what's that sound in the background? Because you can only see me from the chest up, you know.
You're wearing shorts.
Oh God, man. Yeah, no, but it's good. It's good talking to you. It's actually my room is
Yeah.
heating up now as well. The heating's been on a half an hour, so
Hey, there you go.
you
Who's
know.
next up on your podcast?
I released one last week with Rick Dupe from Elbow, drummer from Elbow.
Oh, I was listening to that live, or was it on
We
Instagram?
did it on
I was watching.
Instagram, and
Yeah, that's what I was watching.
yeah, a friend of mine ripped the audio and just mixed it for me. I'm going to interview Mary Stokes, Irish blues singer Mary Stokes this week.
Cool.
I'm going to get in touch with Brona Gallagher, has agreed to be on the show. And I've always had a few in the bank for releasing, and I don't have anything right now, so I need to get one done this week to buy me
Yeah,
a bit of time.
yeah,
And during well, where are we now? During Christmas or January, I'll have maybe a bit more time, and I'll get some more done. I did one with Richie Malone from Status Quo. I've had the guys from New York. Yeah, it's been great to do them. It's been
yeah,
great to do. I mean, it's nice to do them over a pint because the
yeah.
conversation is quite relaxed, and it's a bit more of just two people in the corner having a jar. And I think if
Mm.
you're having a pint of Guinness or whatever, conversation flows really well. I think that's why I just want to have a beer tonight. I was like, I'm done for the day. I'm off. I'm off. It was a long day today. It was a lot of just stuff online and running around, and so it was nice just to have a beer. Nice to talk to you as well. But this was a cool hang because I didn't have to get too self-absorbed talking about the bands I played with and stuff like that. And so, if anyone wants to hear me talk talk to other people, the Brief Encounter podcast is where it's at. It's good to talk to people, It's great to talk to
It
actually
is,
people.
man,
That's
because
just
you
for me.
learn.
Well, you learn, and it's great to hear about, particularly people that have been in the industry for a long time. Like
Mm.
me talking to someone who's 20, who's been doing it a few years or whatever. It's like there's no massive journey. They're still on their upward trajectory, whereas someone who's in their 40s or 50s is doing a long time. I actually,
Yeah.
I was in touch with a guy called Donnie Wynn, and he was Robert
Right.
Palmer's drummer from
Wow.
1977 to 2003. I just left a comment and said, "Would you be interested in doing it?" So he kind of said maybe. A chap called Barry Reynolds, who I played with in Marianne Faithfull's band, he guested with us a few times, but he co-wrote one of our biggest records, Broken English, and worked with Marianne on several of her records. But he also played on 3 or 4 Grace Jones records.
Cool.
And I think he was out in Jamaica working with like Sly and Robbie, the kind of rhythm
Wow.
section production team. So he'd be a great guy to talk to. Obviously, he was working with Island Records, maybe around that golden era. And, lovely guy. I have,
Mm.
and those kind of people are interesting because they're not, as much as they're not as well known, the
Yeah.
contribution they've made to music, I think, is massively relevant.
Yeah.
And you can always get some anecdotal stuff that's always fun. You know what I
Well,
mean?
sometimes if people are too kind of, we'll say, well known, they just want to be kind of interviewed almost. They don't get that it's a podcast, man. You're just having a conversation. Because I hate like interviews. They're just like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, like, it'd be like talking to Brona Gallagher and asking her about Star Wars and Pulp Fiction, which she's been asked a billion times. But I know with Brona, she'd put a different spin on it because she's such a brilliant person to hang out with. But yeah, a lot of people just kind of recite and go through the motions and stuff like that. That's why picking the people that are slightly a little bit off kilter are really good.
Yeah.
Like I interviewed Adam Marcello, who's been Katy Perry's MD for years. He's drummer, and he's telling stories about being in the White House, and playing the Super Bowl, and just great stories, and no, nobody's dishing any dirt on anybody, or it's just anecdotal stuff of being on the road and stuff you do, and kind of just some of the fun you've had, and I think that's great that and a lot of people are open to sharing that stuff. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, and people are, and the podcast as well, as you say, it's conversational, it's very honest, and there's an intimacy to it as well. People feel
Mm.
like they're earwigging on just two people having a chat in the corner of a booth,
That's it, isn't it?
and I like that. But I like that, and from listening to a lot of podcasts, I was kind of like, well, you know what? I know loads of interesting people, way more interesting than me. I'm not that interesting anyway. So I don't know why the fuck you're talking to me. but you know, I figure, well, why not just talk to them, you know? And I think I'm at a place in my life where I'm comfortable to be able to do that. I couldn't have done it 10 years ago, or I think I could do it now, you know. And I think I've learned about, from working in the college, you pick up these skills of learning how to research properly. And, you know, I could have a page of 20 questions and I may get through 5. You know,
Do you write stuff out?
I do. For some I do, and for some I don't. Some I've had to do on the fly, and I just have to make it up on the spot, you know. And that happens. And actually, you go, oh, I'm going to listen back to this and edit it, and you're like, I don't know if this went as well, or if it went well at all. And you listen back and you went, you know, I go, geez, that was actually an okay conversation.
Yeah.
You know, we're musicians. We're always going to be hard on ourselves, you know. You know, and that's why, you know, even just talking to you today, I'm always like, I hate to. I still would be quite self-conscious about being flippant or you know, obnoxious or you know, or just self-absorbed, or you know what I mean.
Yeah, but you're not like that, man.
No, well, you just want, like, I think I just be honest, really, just be honest, and I think if you're comfortable in your own skin, you can be, like, you know. I don't have any, you know, in Ireland. I think most of the people I've worked with, most people I know, I've gotten along with and stuff like that. Yeah, you meet the odd Egypt along the way. I'm sure I've probably been in Egypt myself, more than likely. Yeah, I know I have. Well, you live and learn, you know. You live and learn. Anyway, man. I won't get too philosophical.
Anytime, dude. Anytime.
Well, look, let's stay in touch, and let's do another one of these without the cameras and the.
Oh yeah, man, for sure.
You know, or let's just do another one again. You know,
for sure.
Let's do a movie one.
Okay. That's a good call. Have you seen that movie Fatal Deviation?
No.
Or oh my God, you have to.
Is it like a piss take on Final Destination, is it?
I think it's either Fatal Deviation. It's one of those things. This Irish guy made this movie. It's a karate movie. And it's like in the west of Ireland, like in fucking Roscommon. But it's all done like pure serious. It's horrendous. Mikey from fucking Boyzone is in it.
Oh my God.
Dude, it's on YouTube. Yeah. I'll link you up after. It's fucking so bad. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's fucking amazing, man.
I love those kind of movies. I love
Me
those
too.
kind of movies.
It's like The Room, but it's done karate the west of Ireland.
I've yet to see The Room or the remake or the movie James Franco did about it. I've yet to see it. I haven't seen it.
I watched the Franco one recently, actually.
I should really watch The Room first and then the Franco one, no?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Because people have been asking me recently, like, "Oh, what have you been watching?" I can't even remember. You know, because now you get through so much content that it's just hard to, you know. Yeah. I did watch one the other night called The Boat, which was set in Malta, and it's a one-man movie with good acting, good script, good direction. It's about a guy, just you see him going out in his little motorboat fishing. And he goes into a fog in the first 3 minutes of the movie, and he finds this abandoned boat, and it all just kicks off from there. And I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. You know, but yeah, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Have you seen Dark? TV show. It's a German TV show on Netflix.
No, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
It is fucking amazing.
Yeah, I watch a lot of stand-up comedy as well. Do watch a lot of that. You know, because stand-up comedy, particularly when you're going to bed, you can put it on. If you're falling asleep, you can just leave it on and put the TV on.
I remember one night we went to stand-up comedy show in the International Bar. We met your man from fucking Father Ted. You know, your man.
Joe Rooney.
Yeah. Lovely guy.
Yeah, well, I used to go in there because Ian Coppinger is like the curator behind that. And he's been doing it for 20 years. And Ian's a pal of mine. I used to go down on a Monday night and I go see the comedy improv, and then we go up to Brussels and see the Controversial All-Stars playing there, and we go out for a night. But like some nights with Ian, you could end up out with Phil Jupitus, or you know, like one night Ian took us to see Bill Bailey and the Olympian. We all went out with Bill Bailey afterwards, and Kevin Eldon. I don't know if you know Kevin Eldon, but great character comedy actor from Big Train and loads of shows. Like if you saw Kevin Eldon, if you saw a picture of him, you'd know exactly who he is. He's in Alan Partridge when he's staying in the hotel. He's the guy that keeps getting.
Oh, the guy's like
Yeah,
that
there
guy.
you go. That guy.
I know the guy. I know the guy.
Super nice guy, and they would know Thomas from Pugwash and stuff like that, and hanging out with those guys again. Comedy for me is like, I think when it comes to art, there's
I love it
nothing
too.
that like, there's nothing above comedy, because I think it's the hardest thing to do.
Did you see Bill Burr's Saturday Night Live monologue?
I didn't know. No,
Fucking brilliant, man.
no. He's a drummer.
Yeah, he's an amazing drummer
Yeah, he's a
actually
good drummer.
too.
He is a good drummer, you know. Yeah, he's you got to be in the mood for him, because it's like, it's a bit like attack,
I know.
but he's great. He's great.
Who do you like? Who's your favorite
Oh
comedians?
God, I recently Kevin Bridges I've been watching. Really like him. I do like Bill Burr. Um,
Chappelle.
Stuart Francis. I was watching, like, he's a comedian, more of a kind of the last year, a kind of one-liner guy, but really good. I'll just absorb all of that,
Mm.
Just watch everybody. But I'd be a fan of the classics, the Richard Pryor, and I read Steve Martin's book last year. And that guy, was
Amazing.
like that guy. He was the first guy to sell out arenas. Like,
Yeah.
he was the first big comedy guy. He was on the road for years and years before he went into movies. He'd already had like 15 years of stand up behind him before he made The Jerk.
Yeah.
Like, he was a huge star before he made that, and then he just kind of more or less moved into cinema and stuff. A very
Now he just plays banjo.
plays his banjo now. Very mellow guy, yeah, very private guy by the sounds of things. But Eddie Murphy's got Coming to America 2 coming out.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. Did you see Dolmite?
Oh, I thought it was brilliant.
Great,
My
great
name is
film.
Dolomite.
Great
Fucking
film. I
brilliant.
thought it was so good, so good, and it's great to see Eddie Murphy back on form.
Yeah.
So it
Ma-
is,
That
and
that's one thing I love is 80s, like those 80s, like I'm gonna get you sucker and all those kind of
yeah,
movies.
yeah. I'm gonna get
Fucking
you Sucker
class.
is a bona fide classic.
Oh, amazing.
It's a bona fide classic. But, like, you say '80s, like the first Beverly Hills Cop, like Trading
Great.
Places, 48 Hours, and Beverly Hills Cop. Like, I don't know which. I think did he make Trading Places first? I can't remember. But those three movies in a row were massive, and then he did Coming to America, and amazing.
And the lads from Trading Places are in Coming to
That's
America.
right. Yeah, yeah. Mortimer, and I can't remember the other guy, but that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah. Listen, I loved him and his delirious stand-up comedy show. Like
Oh,
this, the
fucking
sketch
brilliant.
about the ice cream, and it's just Christ, yeah. I've been trying to get into like Dave Chappelle, and you
Oh,
know
I love Chappelle.
Chappelle. I'm trying to think, because Louis C.K. I really liked,
It's great.
until he got caught with the L. Well, um, you know, again, career suicide, but very talented comedian. Um, you've your Jerry Seinfeld. Oh Jesus, I remember seeing Patton Oswalt years ago. Like,
He's funny.
well, he did a tour with Amy Mann and Michael Penn, and they just came out. They played Vicar Street, and Amy Mann was like, "Look, we're not great at talking to the audience. So when we finish the song, Patton's just going to come out and do a little bit in between each song." And it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I've seen so many. I should write this. I need to write my life down, because I can't remember. But I've been so lucky to have gone to so many gigs, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so many stand up shows, and seen so many great movies and all that kind of stuff. And again, going back to the arts, that's kind of what makes me who I
Yeah.
am. If you know what I mean? All those
Yeah.
great experiences. So long may it continue.
I got Seinfeld's book recently. He wrote out every single joke he ever did on like these yellow postage stamps, and they're just all in the book.
Really.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, again,
Some of them are
he
some of
started
them
out
are
with Eddie
terrible.
Murphy. He's good,
Yeah.
really good friends with Eddie Murphy. They did loads of club gigs together and stuff like that. Mark Maron I really like.
Yeah, his
You know,
podcast is great.
his podcast I listen to a lot, and I've watched a few of his stand up specials, and they're really, really good.
Right,
He's
I never
just,
seen
yeah, you should check him out. There's one
Norm
from,
Macdonald. That's who I love.
oh, he's great. I like him.
Fucking
I like him.
so quick.
Did you see the show he did, the talk show?
Oh yeah,
Like, he's mental. He is mental.
Judge Judy one was class.
Oh God Almighty! He's unreal. He's unreal. Some of his gags. Ah, look, there's a billion of them out there. But what they were saying was like, when they started in the '80s, there wasn't that many comedians.
Yeah,
It was definitely the '90s onwards where it really started to kind of pick up and stuff like that.
I enjoyed this, man. It was great talking
Yeah, it
to
was
you.
great. You too. You too. And look, we'll do another Zoom meeting. Like I'm free at the weekends, and I'll hang out anytime, and we'll have a beer, and
Awesome, man.
well, listen.
Awesome.
You mind yourself.
I will. You too,
Take
brother.
care
Thanks
of
very
your
much for
take
doing
care of
this.
your health, both physical and mental. All right.
Mental one's the problem.
Hang in there, brother. I'm doing your next record. Get this
Cool,
one
bro.
out and let me do the next one.
Cool, bro.
All
Cheers,
right.
brother.
Listen, mind yourself. See you, Paul.
Cheers, brother.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Nice. Bye bye.
Bye.